Hello everyone, this is Manoj. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll show you how we can use login and registration functionality in ASP.NET Core using Ajax calls. Alright, so in this video, we'll try to create the same window as you can see on your screen. So this is our login form, and if you click on sign up, so it will open a pop-up for registration. Let me quickly do it registration. Let's say A1. So user created successfully, and if I try again the same user with the same email, so it will says user already exists. And let's close this, and if I try to log in with the same user, so we redirect to a welcome page. All right, so the same functionality we will try to create using ASP.NET Core. So first of all, let's open a Visual Studio window. For this video, I'm using Visual Studio 2022. You can use any version of your Visual Studio which support .NET Core. So click on create a new project. So for this, I'm going to create ASP.NET Core web app. If you want, you can search this from here, but I have already created, so it is giving me a direct link. So click on it and next. Here you can give a name. So login registration .NET Core app. Next, create. So it will create a new project. So wait for a moment. Let me close the existing one. So this is our brand new .NET Core project. So this is the default page. Let's open the Solution Explorer. So this is the default file and folder structure of our .NET Core project. We have a default MVC controller and models. We have error view model and we have home, shared, layout, everything. All right. So let's quickly create a model. Click on add class and give it a name users. And in this we will create some properties. So the first property is, so you can use a shorthand, just type prop and then hit tab. Okay, then you can give a data type and then the property name. So first name will be username, and let's quickly copy. I'll use only three. So first one for username, second one for email, and last one is for password. Save. Again, right click on this model folder, add class, and now create a model for response. And in this model, we'll have two properties. One is for status code, and another one is for status message. Save. So we are done with our models. Now, right click on your controller, add new controller. So click on API, API empty, click on add and give it a name, register controller, click on add. So this is our API controller. So here we will create our APIs. So first of all, save it. Now we need to create a I configuration just to get our connection string. So private read only I configuration, and now we need to create a constructor of this controller. So there is a shorthand, just type CTOR and hit tab. So it will create a constructor of this controller, you can say the class. So we need to pass the same class object here. Make sure you create the different parameter. So now underscore configuration is equal to configuration. So we are done with our constructor part. Save. Now we need to create our APIs. Before that, go to your models, click on add class. Let's create one more class for Del, which is for data access layer. This class will, communicate with the database. And before that, let's open our app.settings. So app.settings basically is a place where we can create our connection string. All right. So here we will give our connection strings, and inside this we will create our connection string object. So first of all, it will take a name. So give it a name. Let's say dbcs means database connection string. And now we need to provide the details. So the first property will be server, and the server will be our SQL Server name. So open your SQL Server, connect database engine, copy your server name and paste it here. So we are done with the server. Now another property is database. So let's quickly create a database. So create database test core app F5. Database has been created. Let's use the same. So now we are in the same database. As you can see, this is selected here. So let's copy the database name, paste. So our database properties are also okay. Now we need to give initial, sorry, integrated security true. Why I gave this? The reason is if you open SQL and click on connect, see, we are connected with our Windows authentication. So no need to provide username and password. So we can directly use integrated security. So it will directly connect to our SQL server. I mean local SQL server. All right. So coming back to app.settings. So we are done. Let's close this. Just copy this name. Now come here in the DAL. So first we are going to create two APIs, one for registration, one for login. So first let's create a method for registration. So public response registration, and this class will take an object of our users class and a SQL connection. For this, we need to install a package. So just hover on it. It will show you some intelligence. Click on this and go to the last option, install package, and find and install latest version. So it will install our SQL package. So our package has been installed. As you can see, the class is now highlighted. And now response is equal to new response. And now SQL command is equal to new SQL command. So here we will use stored procedure. So for this we will create a stored procedure called sp register and the connection object, and cmd dot command type is equal to SQL command type dot stored procedure, and cmd dot parameters dot add with value. First the parameter name. So first parameter would be user name, and value will come from users dot username. Let's quickly copy and paste 3 times and change the properties. So for email, users dot email, sorry, email, and for this password, also change the SQL parameter password. And now we need to open connection dot open and int I is equal to cmd dot execute non-query, and connection dot close. Now if I greater than 0 means our record is saved in the database, then response dot status message is equal to, wait for that, we will use our SQL message. I'll show you how. Status code is equal to 200. So for that we will use output parameter, means whatever message we are getting, we will get it from the database only. We will not use any static message. So cmd dot parameters dot add at error message. So we'll create this message SQLDB type dot char, and the length will be, let's say, 200, and cmd dot parameters dot direction is equal to direction dot output. String message is equal to string cmd dot parameters dot value. So it will get our message whatever we will return from the database, and we will pass this message here. So no need to write any static message. Oops. We need to go to our response. Basically, this would be our string parameter. Save, and in the else part, let's copy this and change this value to 100. And we also need to use try catch exception, and put it here. And instead of message, ex dot message. Save, and finally return response. So we are done with our register dal method. Perfect. Let's create another public response login, and it will also use the same kind of parameters. So users and SQL connection, and response is equal to new response, try catch exception, and here response dot status code is equal to 100, response dot status message is equal to ex dot message. Save, and here SQL data adapter is equal to new data adapter, and for login we will use a procedure sp underscore login, and the connection object da dot select command dot parameters dot add with value, and the first parameter we will use for login is @email, and value will come from users dot email. Let's copy this, paste, and change the second property as password. And now let's create a object of data table. To data table, dt is equal to new data table, and we also give da dot select command dot command command type is equal to command type dot stored procedure. And after creating the object of data table, da dot fill dt, and if dt dot rows dot count greater than 0 means the user which we are trying to log in exists in the database, then it will return at least one row. So we'll try to count the number of rows. So if it is greater than 0, then it is a valid user. Then we will return a response like response dot status code 200, and response dot status message is equal to user is valid, and we will try to log in and go to the further pages. In the else part, user is invalid, and change the status code as 100. Save, and finally return response. Save. So both our methods are ready, one for login, one for registration. Save. Now coming back to controller. So now here we can create our APIs. So first API would be, so that will be HTTP post, not patch, post, and let's give a route, register new user. Let's copy this, public response add new user, and this will take users object from the front end. So we will pass the same properties from the front end. And now response is equal to new response, and let's create object of dal class is equal to new dal. So dal dot response is equal to dal dot register. What is the name of the, okay, registration is the name. Okay, so it will take, if you again open braces, so it will take two parameters. One is this users class, second one is SQL connection object. So let's give a first users object. So users comma, let's create a SQL connection also. So here let me create SQL connection is equal to null, and here in the constructor connection is equal to underscore configuration dot get connection string dot to string, and here we need to pass our connection string name, which is you can find from app.settings. So this one dbcs, copy, paste, new SQL connection, save. So our connection is ready. Now let's copy this object and pass it from here. And finally return response. Save. So our register API is ready. Now let's create another API for login. So that will be again HTTP post API. So HTTP post and give it a route login and public response login. It will also accept users properties. So give it a name users and another one is equal not here. Now create object of response class response response is equal to new response and response dot not response dot we need to create a dal object. So dal is equal to new dal and response is equal to dal dot login. Now login will accept the same parameter as register new users and SQL connection. So users and connection. So return response. Save. So our both APIs are ready. One for is a new user, one for login. Save. Now go to DAL. We need to create two procedures. One for registration. Let's copy this name. Go to database and let's create this. So create proc and this will take three parameters. One for username, varchar 100 and second one is for email varchar, third one is for password and last one is for error output which is our output parameter. So varchar 200 and output as begin and so we will check if not exists. Select one from users. Oops. First we need to create a table. So quickly create table users username email password and also create one ID ID int identity and let's make it primary key and username will be varchar also email same for password table. So a table has been created. Now we can use the same table. So select one from users where email is equal to @email. If the email which we are trying to register is not available, then we will come to this block. Then we will insert the data, insert into users, username, email, password, and values will come at username, at email, and at the rate password. and we will set our at error message as user created successfully. We cannot use double quotes, we need to use single quote. And in the else part, if user is already exists with the same email, then set error message is equal to user already exists with the same email. So we are done. Let's select and execute. Okay. Another one is create proc for login. It will take two parameters, email and password. Let's copy both of them as begin. Select star from users where email is equal to @email and password equal to @password. Done. Select, execute. So our procedures also ready. Now going to the project and let's open this home controller and right click on this index, go to view. So we don't need this. Let's remove this. So this is my existing login template which I showed you in the starting of this video. So we'll use the same form. So first of all, let's try to run this. So Control Shift B, try to build the project. Let's see if is there any error or not. Well, succeeded. Try to run this. So as you can see, the browser is rendering something and localhost colon 5176. So this is our base URL of your project. All right. So as you can see, this is the default, page of our application, and we have changed the design. So that is why it is showing our own login page. And if you see, this is the application name, and this home and privacy is coming from the default layout. As you go back to Visual Studio, open Solution Explorer, and in the shared, we have a layout.cshtml. So this is the default layout. If you want to remove this layout, you can simply open your view and give your layout as null. All right. So you can remove that. So let's remove the default layout as I just shown you. So go back to your project. Let's stop this. And here we have a property called layout, and you can simply give value as null. Save. Now try to run the project. So this layout is nothing but as a master page which we used in our older ASP.NET web forms. So now only the login form is rendering. Let's try to click on this sign up. So this is our registration form. All right, our design is working as expected. So now we will try to create our Ajax calls which will communicate with our API, and then API will go to our DAL class to save data and login. All right, let's go to the index.html file and create the calls. So let's go to the scripts and we'll create two Ajax calls, one for the register, one for the login. So let's create a function first for register and give it a name save form, and let's create some variables for the values. So first one is, let's say user, let's say name, and this value will come from the user input field, and second one is for password, and third one is for email, and it will come from email. And now if name equal blank or password equal blank or email equal blank, we need to close bracket here, and if any value is blank, then we need to display our error message div, which is message 2 and 2 dot show. So this will pop up our div containing that error message. So save and return false. And after that, let's create an object which will contain our data for the API. So in the API we have username. So this will come from name. We already have this one. And second one is email. So we already have email value. And finally password. And we also have password value in PWD. So our object is ready. Now we need to create an Ajax call. So $.Ajax. So first property is type, which is call type. So we will use post, and after that we have data type, which is in our case JSON, and now we have URL, and for URL we will use API slash register slash the route, which is register new user, copy. So this is our complete URL, and after that we have data JSON dot stringify our object, so obj, and after that we have content type, which is application slash JSON, and carsat utf-8, and after that we have our success block. So success function, it will take the result from the API, and after that we have error function result console dot log result. So in the success, if our API is successful, then first of all let's log the result, and after that if result dot status code equal 200 means our API is success. Then change the message. So we have the ID of message is message one. So message one dot HTML. So we will replace our static message with the API response. So here we will use result dot status message. Okay, and not this one. We need to change this and hash message one dot show and message two dot hide, and let's reset all the fields. So dollar hash registration dot reset. So save. So we are done with our registration. So let's save this. So let's quickly create Ajax call for login. Then we'll try to run both the functionalities. So where obj is equal to, for login we will use email. Email we will take from this. Let me recheck. Oh, sorry. For email we will use log email. And password log password. Save. Let me copy these things. And now let's change some of the properties. So we are using the same, and instead of register new user, we will use login. Save. And here we need to change something. Message.show. So save. Let's try to run this. So let's open the sign up page and let me give any ID. So Manoj Deshwal.03 pass 12345. Let me put a breakpoint on register. Submit. So you can see the control is on register now. Let's try to debug. Okay, we got the response. User created successfully. All right, let me remove this and click on continue. Perfect. User created successfully. Let's go to SQL Server and let me select star from users. Yeah, we got this user. Perfect. Let me try to create the same user and let's see if the validation is working or not, which we applied from procedure end. You see, user already exists with the same email. Perfect. Let me change this to 5. Perfect. So our SQL validation is working. Done. Now let's try to log in. So close this, copy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see, user is valid. So both of the things are working. Let's close it and now let's create a separate view in the home controller. So let's copy this quickly and give it a name dashboard. Save, right click on it and add a view, empty. Change the name as dashboard. Click on add. Here's create a simple div. Welcome user. Save and now go to index and instead of showing this one, so let me cut this here, window dot location dot href is equal to, so we'll redirect user to this particular route, so home slash dashboard. Save. Now let's try to run it again. Email, password, login. So done. Welcome user. So this is how we can use our login and registration functionality in ASP.NET Core. So this is about today's video. I hope you like it. If you did so, hit the like button, share, comment. And let's say if you are working for a company and you are doing your internship and you have been assigned a project to work on. In that project, if you are facing any kind of problem regarding React.js, regarding jQuery Ajax, API, MVC, SQL Server, so you can contact me on my Instagram. My Instagram handle is Open Programmer. You can also find my email and Instagram handle in my channel description. All right. I also do some college projects. If you need any kind of help in your college assignments, then I also do these paid services. So please contact me on my Instagram or on my email. So I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.